What is wrong with you?
What do you mean what's wrong with? What's wrong with you?
No, what's wrong with you?
No, what's wrong with you? You're projecting.
Drop it.
You drop it. You stop projecting on me. Why don't you go enjoy yourself while I go ice my balls and spit up blood?
Drop it!
Team player.
Hey, maybe you haven't been keeping up on current events, but we just got our asses kicked, pal.
Yeah, big man in a suit of armor. Take that off. What are you?
Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
A sign. Those proportions are correct.
Nice muscles, Tyler, dude.
I actually give a whole talk about treating our work like an athletic event. And when you see it that way, doesn't mean you don't have fun. And I mean, having a shift drink and hanging with the people you just did battle with should never be taken away. But I mean, what's wrong with like calling that out a little bit? It almost feels like our industry is growing up a little bit. And I know it's easy to hold on to what was and to really glorify it. And I liked the School of Hard Knocks. I liked how hard life was. I felt like I was doing something not a lot of people could handle, but it doesn't mean it needs to be the norm. And I think that to have that stuff challenged, I don't think is that awful.
I admit I don't look like the athlete of the day supposed to look. My belly's just a little big, my hand is just a little big, but brother, I am bad and they know I'm bad. And there were two bad people. One was John Wayne and he's dead, brother, and the other was right here.
Shut the fuck up for 30 seconds, you might learn something.
Welcome to Plumluvfoods Live, #1 live digital audio industry show for chefs by chefs. Hosted by multi-time Food Network winner and award-winning chef, Chef Plum, and culinary veteran, star of the Food Saver commercial, Chef Jeff. So wrap, date, and rotate because the boys are about to set your Nissan flaws. Here are the Good Brothers.
Oh yeah, ladies and gentlemen, what's happening? Thursday night. It's your boy Chef Plum here, having a great time. Getting ready for a fun program this evening, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Good friend Lisa Pace from NASA is going to be joining the program here, answering all these questions that honestly, like, things that I've always wanted to know. Things that maybe you wanted to know. Well, there's definitely some questions you asked because you had a bunch of responses on Instagram. We got a few of those out there to Lisa. Some of them kind of good questions, most of them not good questions, but entertaining questions at least. That's what we do have. So we got some of that happening. In just a few minutes, we're going to play that interview. It's a lot of fun. It's going to be a bit of a pre-record. Having her on for the first time, she wanted to pre-record it ahead of time. I totally understand the scheduling. We come on late night. We're chefs. They're not used to our scheduling. I get it. Most people are in bed right now, but, you know, most of us delinquents, we stay up and, you know, this is what we do. So we're here. We're live. We're going to be doing the ins and outs. We'll comment here and there, of course, on the video a little bit. Sitting next to me in the big chair, of course, is a gentleman who is a father of 15 children. It's incredible. One of the best chefs that I know. This gentleman also was a COVID survivor several times. His weekly stomach bug that we call sour tummy is not affecting him right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Chef Jeffy is with me tonight. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls?
Why'd you use that weird voice? What the fuck was that? The heck was that?
That's just me trying to be all cool with my cool.
I mean, you were like, voice. Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? It just sounded very like, I don't know.
This is Jeff with the radio voice. How you doing?
I'm trying really hard not to curse. I know we just talked to Dan. I said, Dan, we really want to not curse in this episode as much as possible. And what do?
Yeah, you ruined that with that whole intro.
I know.
Wow.
It wasn't
like, don't
bad.
Curse.
Yeah, well, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
I don't want to repeat it. I don't want to celebrate.
Was it terrible? It was not that bad.
I'm real. I didn't even notice. So
see, there we go. He didn't even pay attention. He's producing. So
I was in it. I was like, you know what? Hey, let it slide. You're into it. You're excited. I mean, if you're gonna be excited about anything, NASA's something to be excited about, and I feel like they'll be very excited to know you're excited. So I feel like, in fulfilling all the excitement, some things happen. Words just said. Now we're here having a good time. Yo, NASA.
And that's what we want. That's exactly what we want. Vanessa's on Facebook chiming in. Good evening, boys. Good evening, Vanessa. Great to see you. You're going to love this one because there's some history here. And Vanessa, you were privy to said history, which will be a lot of fun. So tonight's guest is a lot of fun. We're gonna probably we'll be able to we'll stop it every now and then and chime in and give some thoughts on to what we're talking about as we go. Like I said, the interview is pre-recorded. It's a great interview. It's gonna look just like this, nothing different. You know, Jeff and I sat down with her. What was it 2 days ago, Jeff?
Yeah, Monday.
Was it
3
Monday?
days ago? Yeah, it was Monday.
Cool. It was Monday. There we go. Vagabond Chef on Instagram says, bunch of rocket scientists here. You got it. You know, rocket scientists. That's what we do. But we're excited to hang out with you guys this evening. We got a lot of fun. We're trying to get lots and lots of answers. Marcos is chiming in there on Facebook. Hello, wonderful friends. What's up, Marcos? Great to see you, my friend. Hope to see you. Do I see him this week or no?
No, unfortunately.
All right, Marcos, we won't see you
anymore.
We miss Marcos. We miss Marcos. But before we get this thing going, really, really important, just so you guys know, Memorial Day weekend coming up here really, really soon. We're going to be hanging out at Dan's Taste, the Rosé Soiree in Southampton. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're making a great burger from our friends from 7X. It's going to be a tiny little, just cute little teeny tiny burger, like Jeffy-sized foods. We're excited.
Too tiny?
Oh, yeah, tiny burger.
Two bite burger, right?
A 2 bite?
1.5 bite? So,
yeah.
So a 1 bite burger for Plum, for the rest of the humanity, 2 bites.
What are you trying? Listen, it's an event in the Hamptons. You don't want a big.
You have a nice boca. That's all I'm saying. You can take down a burger. That's a mouth in Spanish. I've been working on my Spanish.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
for my boy Hernan, if you're out there, preemptively we're saying hello to Chile. You know,
Rosé Soiree. Go to Dan's Taste. Get tickets. It's going to be a great event. We can't wait. We might actually live stream the whole thing. That's what we're waiting to hear back on. I think we want to try to live stream the entire thing. That'd be really cool. So hopefully we can do that for you guys. So you can see what's going on. The Rosé Soiree happening Memorial Day weekend. It is 6 to 10:30 or something like that. 6:30 to 9.
6 to 9.
Like that. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
A great event.
Make
sure
sure
you check
party.
that out. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you check that out. There you go. There goes our wonderful ticker down at the bottom.
So, right. The ticker's up.
Ticker's working. Ticker is working. There we go. Well, friends, let's jump right to this, man, because it's going to be a great interview. I'm excited. Well, I'm going to say, I hate people say it's a great interview because, like, let me decide if it's a great interview that I'm listening to. Don't tell me it's a great interview. So I apologize.
How about this? It was a really fun interview to do.
It was a very fun interview to do. How about that? I'm good with that. That works out.
I'm good with that, too. I think that was great. I mean, she was a lot of fun, and I think it comes through in the interview.
I hope so. So check this out. We'll pause it a little bit through and come back and talk a little more through it. Here is our interview with Lisa Pace from NASA. Stand right there, guys. We'll be right back. Right here with the video. Wait, we're not going anywhere, are we? No, we're not. Stay right there. Here comes the interview.
Stay right there.
Joining us right now is a person who might be one of the smartest people that I know. Is someone who spoke very highly of me on the internet before, which made me feel fantastic about myself. She is the Exploration Development Integration Division Chief at the Johnson Space Center. And first of all, I want to have that many words in my title moving forward, Jeffy. Can we figure that out?
I'm trying to work it in there right now for you. I'm just like the directing chef chief of the podcast world and the ICW chairman.
That's right, the IWC chairman. She provides leadership to a team of approximately 120 civil contractors supporting mission-level integration efforts. She is working with the Artemis missions right now. So this human being is actually putting people in space, on the moon, and hopefully on like Jupiter and all that stuff soon. I mean, listen, this is what I'm talking about. This is the craziest thing I've ever heard of. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the program, good friend, Lisa Pace from NASA. Seriously, like, I'm trying to figure out how we're going to have this conversation, to be honest with you, because I'm trying to figure out how I can possibly even match wit with someone like you.
You are too kind. And then more words in your title is not good. So I'll break down what that actually means because it's super confusing. And I talk to like school age kids all the time and they're like, you're a chief of, you're a what? So I'll explain that. And then I also appreciate that you think I'm going to put people on Jupiter. So I took note of that.
I was just picking planets. I don't know.
That's a lofty goal there, but I'm going to try.
Well, talk about that title first, because then I want to talk about our history a little bit. But let's talk about what exactly is it you do. Like, if you were going to give us the Reader's Digest version, here's what I do.
Right. So I'm so I lead a team, like you said, about 120 people, and so we've got some of those are NASA people, and some of them are contractors, and they are responsible for integrating all the big pieces that make up the Artemis mission. So. Artemis is the campaign of missions to go back to the moon. And Artemis was, in Greek mythology, the twin sister to Apollo. So we intentionally named it that. And when I say big pieces, like you need a launch pad, you need a rocket, you need a spaceship. Like those are the big pieces. We call them programs at NASA. And so each of those programs has their thing to go do. They're funded by Congress to go build them or maintain them. And what I care about and what my division cares about is making sure all those pieces fit together. So when I talk to like school age kids, I show them a puzzle and I show them the launch pad and the rocket and the spaceship. And we talk about Legos and puzzles.
You didn't bring any puzzles for us?
I don't have any puzzle pieces, but usually when I talk to kids, I do that. And then I'm
a visual learner.
Yeah, they take away. They're like, so she builds puzzles. That's what she does.
Okay, all right. Shout out the puzzles.
That's what I do.
Puzzles.
So,
All right.
But anyway, yes. So I'm an integrator of these big puzzle pieces. But it's a super cool job, and it's so exciting because we're going back to the moon. Yeah, it's awesome.
I mean, it's a really cool job. It's awesome. And so just so a little bit of history, you and I went to high school together. Right. The whole time. I was a degenerate. But I was told.
I don't think I'd call you that, but keep going.
So Lisa, I got to tell you, every time we do events and travel, and Jeff and I, he travels with me a lot of places. He always brings his bag of snacks, which I don't think he's going to be able to do if we go to space, is he?
No bag
snacks.
of snacks.
No snacks in space.
But they do have snacks. So okay, you asked. I didn't even answer. So there is like 200 different items on what they call their standard menu that the astronauts use to fly in space. So it's really not that bad. And we absolutely put a lot of emphasis on the quality of the food, the variety of the food. And I think, and the astronauts are part of this. Like there's a food lab here in Houston. They come, they're part of it. They sample all the food, and the different astronauts get to tailor their food that they bring up in space to what they want. And then it's an international collaboration, so we have astronauts from other countries, and so they're bringing food from their country. So yes, it's a lot of emphasis on, and it makes you feel like you're home again. So there's a lot of emphasis on that as well.
That's important because that kind of gives them, they're going to be gone a long time when they leave here. So having foods that can be like mentally relieving or kind of give them a taste of home, I mean, I'm glad to hear that stuff's taken into consideration a little bit.
Yep. Because there's like all kinds of technically hard things to do in flying people into space. But I would say, and people debate it, but the hardest is the human brain. The isolation of space, the psychological impact on the astronaut is the one thing there's no formula to fix. And so, yes, it absolutely, there's emphasis on food from home, food that reminds the astronaut of their children, or there's holidays. You might spend, Christmas in space or Easter in space. Wow. And so they want to make sure they're bringing that stuff and keeping the astronauts, mentally sharp and happy.
Yeah. I mean, has there been any thought for you to go to space? Like, do you want to go? Do you have any urge to go, like yourself?
So no, I have no urge to go. I love supporting them. Every time I give a talk to children, I'll tell them about what I do. I end the talk and some child is like, so tell us about your time in space. And I'm like, disclaimer, I am not an astronaut and I won't be an astronaut. It is like I think the hardest job. I mean, you're really like sacrificing potentially your life for the greater good. NASA has a charge to like evolve humanity. I mean, this is heavy stuff, right? And seriously. So no, I am not cut out to be an astronaut. I get frustrated on just like long car rides. So this is not going to be for me. But yes, but I love supporting astronauts. And when you meet them, they are just exceptional human beings. Like, obviously very smart people, capable people, but mentally very strong people, very kind people, because you got to get along with people in like little teeny space, right? So yeah,
it's amazing.
They're great people.
So talk about preparation for food when they go up. So they're on a shuttle, they're going up, they're going to the moon. I mean, it takes a few days. Is it 3 days? Is that right?
Yeah, well, all right. So
Yeah,
so let me use the International Space Station because that's easier. Great. And that's where we have astronauts like floating around right now above us. So yes, it takes a day or so to get to the space station, and then they'll dock to the station. And then once they get there, it's almost like being in a house, your home. The space station is about the size of a, average house. And they have like a pantry and all the food, and you can go pull, and it's categorized by different meals and snacks and all preset. And yes, you're going to bring a bunch of food with you. For the space station, we do have an ability to do these resupply missions where we'll send supplies up and bring trash back home, for example. So they don't have to bring everything for their whole stay. But again, you want to have enough, you want to have the contingency in case that resupply mission doesn't happen or it gets delayed. You got to have enough stuff there.
But they're not actually going to cook any food up there because, I mean, I've read, believe it or not, a fire in space is a bad idea.
It's a very bad idea. Yeah, it is. So yeah, there is no cooking. Everything is either freeze dried and you add water to it, or there is a food warmer. And I use the word warmer because it's not like as hot as your oven. It's not as good as your microwave or your oven, but it can warm the food just to make it like more palatable to you. But so no, everything is pre-made and prepared in some, very secure pouch packaging. And then two-part, one is they don't have the equipment to prepare the food, but the other thing is the astronauts' time is very well allocated with all kinds of work that they have to do. So they don't have an hour to prepare their food. So they eat pretty quickly.
Jeff, you hear that? You can't you gotta eat quick and just go back to work.
Right.
That's yeah. So you don't get to enjoy your meals. You just kind of.
Well, I'm sure they enjoy meals and they do have downtime. But the other thing is, and I think everybody has watched videos of people in space, but the fact that you're like floating around is really challenging. Like you can't just like put a cutting board and start chopping up your vegetables. They're gonna go everywhere. So there's that challenge. So like space food is like a whole different sector of food. Like the packaging is really tight and different than, we try to make the packaging really attractive here on your grocery store aisles because you want. Not attractive. It's got to be efficient and just the most you can fit in a little compartment and very dense in nutrients and very easy to prepare. And then it can't have like crumbs floating around. That's a problem, right? Like salt, big deal. You cannot just shake salt on your food in space. That will get all in your mechanical equipment. Not good.
Whoa, I never thought about it like that. That's a good point.
You put salt in solution. It's terrible. No. So
wow.
So you don't eat a sandwich, bread, crackers, too many crumbs. So if you ever watch like an astronaut eating in space, you'll see they're eating a sandwich like wrapped in a tortilla because a tortilla shell will keep all those crumbs together. And then if they want to add salt to food, it's a solution. They do a little drop of salt. So they
Hold on. My mind is blown.
Sorry, I said a lot. Go ahead.
No, it was awesome.
I'll let you process that.
Go ahead,
amazing. Jeffy. So no crunchy food in space?
Well, I don't know if there's no crunchy, but you've got to be able to like contain it and clean it up. Yeah, because you don't want that.
I mean, that's a satisfying thing. That crunch. Like I really crave crunchy snacks, like a corn nut or a Cheeto.
They still
somewhere
make corn
in
nuts?
that.
But see, the corn nuts and the Cheetos wouldn't make it because they're not high, nutrient content either. So for a variety of reasons, you are not going to like the snacks in space.
Jesus, Jeffy, you're very picky. I don't know if you can go to space with me or not.
Well, no. Do the astronauts get to bring up like a handful of personal items, like you're going on a flight, and I'm like, this is my personal bag. Don't worry, just weigh it. Don't worry about what's in it.
I don't know if the don't worry. I think we worry, and we're going to look in that bag. But yes, they absolutely take personal. Okay. Yeah, we're going to look in your bag.
What if I wanted to bring like a vitamin to help me sleep, like a valerian root?
Yeah, we're going to clear that. We're going to provide you all your vitamins.
Oh,
yeah.
None of that, Jeffy.
No, so they all come from NASA.
You can't have weed in space.
Yeah, I knew that.
I didn't ask. I was just dancing around it. But if you guys want to go ahead and ask, sure. Is there THC pills for astronauts? On downtime. Just wondering. No, just no.
No,
okay.
no.
I mean, listen, actually, Lisa, I think it's actually a valid question because it's legal so many places. I mean, we live in the Northeast right now, and I mean, you can't walk in New York City and not smell weed everywhere nowadays. I don't know. I'm just, it's not my thing, but it's definitely Jeffy's thing.
Yeah, no.
Allegedly.
Because we're going to only send what's absolutely required. Back to my first comment, whatever you send, there's an opportunity cost something you're not sending. And there's other things they need, like to sustain life. Right.
So what about like a beer? Like, so we have friends of ours who work on a submarine, and they're gone for months at a time out in their submarine, but they still have beer on the sub, and they actually hide it in torpedo tubes, which is hysterical. But can they bring beer? Can they bring like a bourbon with them? Can they bring some kind of like, I don't know, a vice that they maybe, something that they love?
So no. So and it's more than just that we're not trying to be joy thieves. Like, it's not so much that we're not fun. I actually did, because I knew you'd ask me this question. I asked a food scientist, because that's another disclaimer. I am actually not a food scientist, but friends with one. And she was telling me that alcohol in the air can actually impact the environmental control and life support systems on, like, the space station, for example. Man. So even like an alcohol wipe, or she even said like soy sauce, some soy sauce will have alcohol in it. They can't even bring that. So the most important thing is we have to keep these astronauts alive. And we have a pretty sophisticated environmental control and life support system that's taking care of all the water and all the air on the space station or in their spaceship to the moon. And anything that could possibly compromise that system, is just a no. And so alcohol, unfortunately, is one. So it's not that we're trying to be uncool. But I will say, so that's on the U.S. side. What the private companies do, what the Russians do, I can't speak to that. So there could be
really. All right. Well, it actually brings me. It's a segue into where I was trying to go with it. I believe I had a real question about it. I mean, water is heavy, and we have to get. I mean, people have to have.
1 second, because I want to jump in for just a minute, Jeffy. First of all, I think it's hysterical. I just want to talk about one kind of fun thing with this. Your mic's muted, by the way. The way that you talk about this, about going to space, as if you are like taking one personal item to go on Survivor, cracks me up. You're like, don't you get to bring like a personal item, a bag or something?
Well, is it a crazy question? I mean, you're going to be away from home for a long time. I feel like, you get to like, what makes me feel good? A little weed. I'm just saying, or
smoke.
No, maybe I can just have a little capsule of it to smell, like, or something.
Well, also, I love how much like I nod, and I'm like I'm like, oh yes, I also understand science. I say these things. I understand.
Oh yeah,
it's
I
just
grunt.
ridiculous. And we should do the drinking game, where how many times Jeffy grunts. It's almost like a weird, like sensual grunt you're doing or something. I can't figure it out, but we should definitely make that a drinking game. Vanessa's chiming in there on Facebook. Astronaut ice cream had a crunch to it, though. Vanessa, I am not an astronaut, nor do I work for NASA. However, I do know for a fact that astronaut ice cream is a sham that never actually has gone to space. That's
freeze
unreal.
dried.
I'm sorry. Ice cream. Right. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to make everybody sad, but and Ergo Chef is chiming in on Instagram saying, one bite crunchy snacks. That's a brand new business. There you go. And of course, our good brother, Chef Rob, is chiming in. Robbie, we are not dumbasses. This is a conversation with NASA. Not sure if you're aware of that or not. Let's jump back.
Where are you, Rob?
Yeah, that's what I want to say. Let's jump back to the conversation. Here we go. Let me move this over. There we go.
It's like our most important thing we have to have. So talk about water. How do we get water to space? How much can we carry? All that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So I think, all right, so I'll do the Orion vehicle is the vehicle, the name of our spaceship that will take astronauts to the moon. So we did a successful flight of, and do you still hear me? I feel like
we got you.
Am I okay?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, sorry. It was a test flight to the moon back in late 2022. No people were on board, but we went around the moon, hung out 25 days, safely came back to Earth, and tested everything to make sure that when we send people to the moon, which will be next year on Artemis 2, that everything would work for the people. And so, sorry, I feel like I was going down a different path. What did you want me to answer?
Yeah, just about getting water. Like water is so heavy. Like we talk about how heavy things are. Like to get water up there.
So it's like 3 liters, don't quote me on this, but it's like 3 liters of water per person per day. And so when we do Artemis 2, that's going to be a 10-day mission. that'll orbit the moon and take 4 astronauts up. They will bring that amount of water for those people. They do
more than that.
They do. It's a lot. It's a lot. So yeah, 4 people, 3 liters, 10 days, and then extra for contingency. So however much that is, and yes, so you've got to set aside the weight for that because that's critical.
That's crazy.
On the space station, they do have a system to recycle water. And they do recycle urine and can reuse. And any kind of water that you would get from your mechanical systems could get recycled and reused for whatever, reconstituting your food or for people to drink. But the Orion vehicle for those 10 days to go to the moon doesn't have that sophisticated of a system. It's a pretty small spacecraft.
So I did read somewhere about recycling urine, and I was kind of like, oh, how about that? And I mentioned to my wife that, and she was like, what? Why would anybody, what are we talking about here? When you say recycle something like that, what does that mean? Does that mean, listen, big survival guy, I'm always ready for the end of the world, got to go back. I know how to take urine and I can distill it and I can turn it into water. Like, I got that, right? But is it the same idea, or are we trying to use it for like gray water, to use it for like anything that needs
it? However you were just describing it, that's it. I mean,
they distill it.
Yes. And but it's kind of like the analogy I did with camping, and maybe you'll run into some berries or some fish. Like, you can't necessarily count on that being your water source. So you're going to bring enough water, because obviously water matters, right? Keeps people alive.
Unbelievable. Jeff, are you going to have some recycled urine water?
Well, I guess, does it taste musky? I mean, how does that come across? Like when you get urine water.
I'm not an astronaut, so I haven't actually drank it.
You never got a chance to taste any of that?
No,
that's a bummer, huh?
Yeah, it is unfortunate.
It's not unfortunate. Don't drink pee water. You don't need to drink pee water.
But no, I am confident there are a lot of smart people that and this system I'm sure the water tastes great. I'm sure it's great.
Yeah. Listen, I got to email you and reach out to you. You got to send us some astronaut food so we can taste it.
Yes. I will do that.
I mean, it's got to be way, like, I pay a lot in taxes. Can I get astronaut food?
I mean, I'm going to look into that, and I think I can probably do something for you. But what I 100% can do is, if you come to Houston, I will give you a tour. And
that's going to happen.
You can meet my space scientist friend and tour the food lab, and I bet she would let you sample something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So staying with how heavy liquid is. Yeah. I mean, is the plan to long term? Is there a plan to continue to bring water to the moon? Or I remember reading about like ice being in the crater possibly, and then can that water somehow be used? Like, I know that's a deep question, I know, but it's just something I was thinking about.
It's a kind of a longer term question, but no, 100%. I mean, so one of the differences between Artemis and Apollo is that we're going to the South Pole of the moon.
Yeah.
And the Apollo missions all went to the equator of the moon. We're going to the South Pole very intentionally because we think there could be water in the form of ice. So the poles are very dark and they're very cold, but if there's ice and we can extract that and either use it to build things, like you take moon dust and water and make like cement and make some kind of habitat, and then or water to grow plants, or water to let the astronauts drink. So yes, that's and you could also use it for fuel. So like hydrogen and oxygen are propellants. So maybe if you can extract enough, then it can be fuel, and the moon can be your, launch pad to Mars or somewhere else.
And if it's water as we know what water is, if it's the same thing, we can also get oxygen out of it too.
Correct. So the resources at the South Pole are what's attracting us to go to the South Pole of the moon.
Interesting. But we still don't know for sure if there's actual ice there. We think so, right? But we don't know for sure.
I think we have we have a ton of data from robotic missions, spacecraft that have flown close to the moon to give us that kind of information. So this is not we're just going blind thinking that there's and hoping it's there. We know it's there.
Yeah.
The abundance of it, how easy it is to get, extract, do something with it. Those are all, big questions. This
is so awesome. I have these questions all the time. I'm so awesome. I'm so happy I get to ask you this stuff. This is great. I'm getting smarter about the moment, Jeffy. It's amazing.
It's mind blowing.
What about growing stuff? I'm guessing on the space station, I mean, we can grow food. I'm assuming we've tried to grow food up there. I'm guessing that's happened at some point, right? Because I can grow food in my house right now in a small little thing with a little light and the heating. I can grow it.
Yep.
But on the space station, can we? And how do we make it sit still? Like, I keep thinking like you're trying to put dirt in the little cells to grow like stuff. How does it stay in there?
Yeah, so I hadn't thought about the dirt question.
It's a deep
but
question.
Yes. So no, we do grow stuff on the space station. I know they've grown like peppers and some other kinds of vegetables. They definitely, at least for the space station, I would say it is added bonus because they're experiments, right? So if something is fruitful and the astronauts are able to eat it, awesome. But they don't count on it. So again, you're going to pack everything that you need, and then that's just extra. But for sure, the other thing about Artemis is that we're not just going for a couple of days. Our intent is to go and to stay and have some kind of sustained presence, and then eventually get onto Mars. So yes, we'll have to figure out how to grow things. And the other thing is so NASA has like a standard for the nutritional value of the food, and a standard for how safe the food has to be, and the shelf life of the food. If you could grow your own food, it's going to be more nutrient dense. It's going to have the texture, back to your psychological, make you think of home. So there's so many reasons why fresh food is better.
I can eliminate some of that waste and carry some stuff, which is
exactly
interesting. Right. So I know this is a little bit longer term thinking, but the movie The Martian, I love that movie. I think it's awesome.
It's a movie.
It's a great movie, right? And when he starts growing potatoes on Mars, I'm like, that's genius. That's a fucking good idea. That's genius, right? Because potatoes are easy to grow. They're very, very durable. So I look back on growing something on Mars. Do we have enough information? Do we know if that's possible? Like greenhouse? Like, I know it sounds crazy, but
no, it's not crazy. And actually, that movie is awesome. And the guy that wrote the movie or wrote the book came to NASA before the movie came out. He was a super smart guy, did a ton of research. So even though that is a fictional story, a lot of it is really technically sound. Like he wasn't completely crazy with some of his ideas. So no, growing the potatoes on Mars is something that we could aspire to figure out how to really go do.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I think it's possible. I mean, because we grow things in greenhouses here, we can grow things in the desert here. I mean, if we can do it, we can do it at extremes.
Right.
We can do it. I mean, we have a guy who had on the show a while back ago. Remember this guy, Jeffy, who turned his entire property in Florida into this jungle where everything he grows, he can eat.
Yeah.
5 acres of just can eat whatever. It's crazy.
Bountiful Harvest or
some guy like that's his name.
The thing. Yeah, he's on his 20-acre property. They have something like 500 varieties of different fruits and vegetables. Like he has 8 types of bananas, stuff like that.
We need minds like that to apply to be astronauts and apply to come work at NASA. We can learn from these kinds of people.
Well, I definitely want to talk about that here in a minute too, because I've got some ideas. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But how about a lunar restaurant, man? Can we get people up on space? We get people thriving on the moon. Can you call me? Hey, Plum, we're trying to get just a quick service restaurant up here on the moon I'm happy to come do it.
I mean, we joke about it. I think we're a ways away at being, honest. But no, I mean, so like the space station sits in what we call low Earth orbit. We've had the space station for 25 years. So although it's still technically, there's some challenges, we figured that out, and we've kind of turned that over to the private sector is really going to create a new space station and sustain that and the government will really get out of that business. And NASA is now going to focus on the moon and then focus on Mars next. Well, once NASA can answer some of these fundamental questions about the moon, the goal is that we go turn that over to the private sector too, just like we have for the space station. And once the moon does become more accessible to just normal people, I think the possibilities are endless. It'll take some time though.
How much is it? This is something I don't think we talked about this ahead of time, but like for astronauts or whoever, if they go to the moon, I'm sure we've done studies about this. Like it's different gravity. Your body's going to change. The longer you're there, your body changes. How long does it take for them to get to make that readjustment period back to Earth? And what I mean by their body changing is the gravity is different. So like your muscle structure could be different,
I think so. I have a couple of friends that are astronauts. So one that went on a 10-day space flight, and when she came back, And she was a runner friend of mine. And I remember her coming and running with me like 2 days after she'd been home. So these short missions, no big deal. Like your body, the human body is amazing. It adapts pretty quickly and it adapts right back to gravity pretty quickly. These longer missions, though, I actually had dinner last week with the wife of an astronaut, and he just got back to Earth a week or two ago. And she was saying just in a week or two, and he was up on the space station 6 months. So he, but he was doing really well. She said that like 24 hours after he got home, he was pretty like nauseous and maybe described his legs like wobbly. And I don't think he would, go out and run, but she was saying that, he was kind of back to his normal routine. And I saw some pictures that she posted over the weekend, and their family, he's got a couple of kids, went hiking. So 10 days after landing on Earth from a 6-month stay, and he's out hiking with his family. So he adapted and adjusted back to Earth pretty fast.
Crazy. That's crazy. And by the way, I see pictures of you on Instagram. You run a lot. Like, is that fun?
I'm a runner. It is fun. For me. I think it's not for everybody, but yeah, I do my best thinking when I'm running. I solve like all the world's problems. Yeah.
This is great.
I do. Yeah.
For 1 second, because there's just something I want to point out, Jeffy. If she said the ISS, the International Space Station, is 25 years old. If you have a car that's 25 years old, we put an antique plate on it. Like, I think you might want to unmute your microphone, but I think it's time to probably think about changing that. I don't know. Can we get a new space station? Something. I should have brought that up. I should have asked, because it feels like that's really old, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, I feel like they got to be constantly like bringing new parts up on like missions and like replacing stuff or like trying to fix it. I would just imagine. I don't know. I don't know. I'm with you. 25 years. The technology from 25 years ago. Do you really want to be up in that? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I honestly, I don't know. Like, if I had a 25-year-old car, like nobody wants to be a part of that. Dan wants to chime in here. Dan, what you got, buddy?
Yeah.
She told you. She said NASA don't deal with that shit no more. They're giving it to the private sector.
That's true.
She said it in an interview. She said, "Yo, we figured out we need to move on to bigger and better things." She said somebody moved up. It was like, "Hey, we're gonna take care of that for you." So they must be building something that they're gonna move into eventually. That's how I took it.
There you go. Well, let's jump back into it. I just heard that, and my brain just started like tweaking out. I was like, "Oh, wait a minute! It's a 25-year-old car." I don't know. All right, here we go.
The whole private sector
Lose
thing.
the transmission.
A lot of knowledge in this interview, isn't
That's
it?
crazy. That private sector thing is weird.
Oh, just wait. We get deeper into it. Stand by. Check this out. Going back to the interview.
Well, that makes sense then. I guess.
And I get away from everybody. I have little kids, so it's important to my mental health.
I understand that. It's your meditation time.
That's right.
And what about like the shelf lives of food? So if you think about like, okay, so I have this steak and it's going to hold for 3 or 4 days. I'm arbitrary picking things here. When I take it to space, that shelf life is either like shortened, or does it get prolonged more? Has space affected that at all? Do we know?
So we don't think so. And so, yeah, we've been up on the space station a long time, and we've had people up there, for years at a time. So we don't think that, at least the low Earth orbit where the space station is, so that's like a couple 100 miles above the Earth.
Yeah.
So a lot closer than the moon. We don't think that shelf life is impacted. What is impacted, though, is pressure. So, we've all been on an airplane and you've had like a bag of chips and it blows up, when you change pressure. Well, so it's that times a lot more to go to the space station or go to the moon. Wow. So the packaging of the food is critical, because as soon as you break that seal of the package, then the shelf life's hosed. So that's why you really can't. It's not that there aren't really good prepackaged foods in your grocery store that you could take up to the space station. We wouldn't do that, because at a minimum, you'd have to at least repackage it.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But yeah, no. And so right now, the stuff that's on the space station, we try to send things with like a year shelf life. The moon is pretty close. Takes a couple, I think you were saying, a couple days to get to the moon. So shelf life of like 1 to 3 years is what they'll try to target for the food. Mars, though, is a whole different animal. So do you know how long it takes to get to Mars?
6 months, right?
Yeah. That's a long ride, right?
That's crazy.
Yeah. So a round trip to Mars, if you're going to go stay for, some number of months and come home is like a 2 or 3 year journey. So they want to have like 5 to 7 year, shelf life food for those kinds of trips.
Wow.
How do you bring enough fuel to get to and from someplace like Mars? I mean, it's got to be like an incredible amount of
well, all right, but
and
the reason it takes so long is because you're actually not using fuel most of the time. You use a lot of fuel to get off the ground and out of, Earth's atmosphere, and then you are relying on. So this is I'm not a space physicist, but you're going to use all of the orbits around the moon, and there's different like gravitational points in the solar system that will propel you. And then you have little thrusters that you can turn on to kind of like, guide you. But no, the reason it takes 6 months to go, if we had all the fuel on board to just go direct to Mars, it wouldn't take nearly that long. The reason it takes 6 months to go to Mars is you go like this is how you go to Mars. And so
I had no idea. That's amazing.
Yeah, so you're finding all these waypoints that can kind of get you. So you're using all of that space physics to get you there.
Lisa, I don't know if you remember in high school, one of my closest friends was Aaron Meacham, the Meadoffs. Remember Aaron?
Right.
I still talk to him almost daily. Right. We've been one of my closest people my entire life. He has like a doctorate in thermal and fluid dynamics. He builds aircraft carriers. He's a genius.
You should have him on this show. Have you had him on the show?
He's so nervous to talk.
Oh, all right. No,
but he would be because he's a genius. Like he's changed how aircraft carriers are being built. He was like 19 and like 3D printed something that changed. Anyway, he's a genius. He's telling me like we'll never be able to travel like the speed of light. He's like, it's just impossible. We'll never be able to go that fast. So with that thinking of someone like that who's that smart, and I argue with him just to piss him off. I mean, because I actually know what I'm talking about. I'm like, sure, we could do that. What are you talking about? But is there a way to go faster? Can we make that go faster? Whether it's by weight, whether we figure out a new fuel source, whether we figure out a new propulsion way.
Yeah, I think so. And I am totally not a propulsion engineer, but yes.
Yeah. Put Jeff in a spacesuit and he sits behind it like a kickboard in a pool and just kicks behind the spaceship.
I think it's a great idea.
That might work better. Right?
That might work. That actually might work.
That might work.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah,
about what you said made me think back. And like when you switch over to the private sector, is NASA going to be in charge of regulating like how they are using like what propulsion systems they can use to get to space and like we had that whole disaster with a submarine that some private sector people blew up in. Like is NASA going to be in charge of that, or how does that work?
Yeah, and I don't know if I know exactly how that'll all play out, but at least, so I'll use the space station as an example because we're in the middle of this and kind of turning that over to the private sector now. And so that'll happen over the next 5 or so years, and NASA will completely back out of that. But we will still go to that space station and we will still send NASA astronauts to that private sector run space station. So the government will still have some kind of role in that we're a tenant, we're a customer. And so we won't be a customer if we don't trust it. So we're going to lay out some requirements or some guidelines for that private company to follow for us to be a customer. Now, if they don't care if we're a customer, then they don't have to listen to us, but
do whatever they want.
It's maybe revenue that they'll lose. So, so the government's role, though, will shift because we'll go from being in charge of it and owning it to just being a customer of it.
That's interesting. Well, it actually leads to the next area here I want to get into. I posted on Instagram for people to ask some questions of NASA, and I got about 110 responses.
Oh, great.
We're not going to go through all that.
Yeah, good. I was good.
Just do a couple. But I figure we'll do it as like quick hits. We'll do a quick short answer period with it. And I posted on Facebook too. And our friend Vanessa, a friend of ours from high school, also asked. She says, "Is there any talk, either professionally or casually, amongst NASA employees akin to possible trepidation or fear?" Using these big words.
I was going to say, you're going to have to break that down for me, but no, keep going. I think I know where she's going.
Is NASA worried about competition from the private sector, like SpaceX or Blue Origin?
Yeah, no. So NASA is really proud of how great our partners are doing, and they are that, they're partners. So, and we feel like we helped enable their success because we put out competitions and we gave them a lot of money to go develop some of the technology. And that's not to take away from all the great things they did on their own, but the government's role is to enable a space economy, create a space economy. And so SpaceX success is NASA's success because it excites the public. There's room for all of us. So no, 100%, I'm rooting for them. And I think they're rooting for us. I mean, I hope they are. But they're in a different role. Like they're a for-profit company. Sure. And I work for the government. So the government cares about inspiring the next generation and setting the priorities as a nation. What do we want to accomplish? And we care about the posture of this country. And maybe SpaceX cares about different things. So there's room for both of us because we're motivated by different things.
Well, it's like we started the conversation with. It just, I mean, everybody's working together, you know?
Yeah,
to make one big pot. I love that. All right, get ready because this is going to be the fun. Here we go, the Instagram questions.
All right, and this is the rapid fire. I'm supposed to just whatever comes to my mind.
Yeah, but best you could do. Chef Van Hurd, you might know him from Hell's Kitchen, good brother. Was the moon landing a work? Which means was it fake?
No, of course we landed on the moon, and we're going to do it again.
Yes. All right, I love that. Okay, here we go. Daniel Joseph Fish wants to know: sex in space, has it been done?
I don't know for sure, but probably.
How do they not? Okay, time out.
Yeah, probably.
As people, like, don't we want to know that? Like, isn't that something we should talk about? Like,
there's a lot of people that probably do know this answer that I work with.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, right.
But you don't look at two astronauts that come down and go, they were up there a long time. I don't know. You know.
Yeah, I think it's a very logical conclusion to draw. I don't have direct insight into that, but
they don't make like space station harnesses for this sort of thing, so you don't just fly all around.
That's back to if you send that, then you can't send something else. So but maybe if that's critical, then maybe they do, and I just don't know about it.
Just use the Peloton seatbelt. We'll make it work that way. All right. Let's see. How about
the worst questions?
By what year do we expect people to actually be on the moon?
This decade,
long term.
Yeah, I'll be vague. This decade, we will land people on the moon in the 2020s. So Artemis 2, we're not landing on the moon, we're orbiting the moon. And right now the target is the fall of next year, so 2025. Artemis 3 is when we'll actually land on the moon, and we're targeting 2026. Yeah. And then, we keep building in capability. Every Artemis mission gets more complicated. We stay longer. And there's different, goals, but all of that is going to play out this decade and into the 2030s.
That's awesome. That was from Frankie Levi Mariano asked that question. Let's see. Let's do one. And this person that asked this particular question right here is a very respected media person in the New York area. Basically wants to know what happens to potty in space.
Everybody wants to know. No, that's not everybody wants
to know. This is a grown man that just asked this. This guy has an Emmy who just asked this question.
So, yes, the astronauts do have to go to the bathroom. And so basically you pee in like a vacuum, it's like a vacuum. And so your pee gets, back to can't have stuff all flying around, right? So you want to contain everything. So, and then you poop in like a coffee can. And
coffee can.
Yeah. And
just floating around.
I think every vehicle, I know every vehicle is different. So like the shuttle, how they did it on the shuttle, how they do it on the space station, how they'll do it in the Orion spacecraft to the moon. They're all a little bit different, but that concept of the vacuum and the coffee can, kind of the same.
I told you that we're adults here. We don't have to have puzzles and childish conversations you're used to having, but apparently I was wrong. So shout out to Ryan Christopher from Good Day New York for asking that question.
Every kid asks that question, always.
Exactly.
Always.
Ryan Christopher, Good Day New York. Shout out to him for that question.
It's an important one because you got to go. Yeah.
And finally, last one for me, and then Jeffy may have one for you. We'll get you out of here. I know you're a very, very busy person, and we can't thank you enough for being here. You're so awesome.
Oh, this is so fun. Yeah.
It's awesome. Okay. I want to go to space. Yeah. I think I could do this. Like I'm training now. Like I'm in great shape. Like I feel like that I could bring a lot to the table. Like I could get there. I could show them how to cook. I feel very confident. I'm very entertaining. Like I can definitely make them laugh. What can we do here? How do I make this happen?
You can apply. So there is an open call for astronauts like right now. If you Google apply to be an astronaut, it's on USA Jobs, and it's open until April 16th. And you apply. And no, it's actually really cool. And we only solicit for applicants for astronauts every few years. And really the last one, because of COVID, the last one was in 2020. So it's been 4 years. And so no, this is your opportunity. Just know there is some stiff competition. So we usually get like, tens of thousands of people apply, and then we'll select. We'll select a handful.
But is there anything so what are the requirements? So I don't have any, I wasn't in the Marines. I wasn't in any
So there's
services.
no hard, I think there is hard educational requirements. Like maybe you have to have a master's degree. But no, you can go to USA Jobs and look, you can read, it'll tell you very clearly what's required. So no military background's required.
Let me ask you this. I have a degree from the Culinary Institute of America. Does that count?
I don't know. Maybe.
All right. We'll take a maybe. Maybe's good, Jeffy. We'll take a maybe.
Right.
Yeah. We'll take a maybe.
And yeah, so no, do apply. And actually, we really do want to get, every time we do an astronaut call, we get more diverse people that apply that bring all kinds of really cool things to the table. So no, we're trying to really cast the net wide and advertise it a lot. So I appreciate the question.
I could put you down as a reference, right?
100%. That, yeah.
Nice. Yeah. It's like, that guy's an idiot. You definitely want him here.
No, I think being able to cook in space is good. Although back to you really just need to be able to warm the food.
It's like, well, we can do induction burners. There's different things we can do. Induction. We can do all kinds of ways to cook up there. We can make it work. It's great.
You could change it. You could be the person.
What about actually coming to be a chef at NASA? Because you talk about having food scientists. I know this is something we didn't talk about, but because I joke about this all the time. I have nutritionist friends, and I hate them. Right? Nutritionists know how to make nutrition. They don't know how to make good food. They make nutrition food, not great food. Right. Big difference in the two.
How do you marry the two? Yeah.
Food scientists, they can make food. Like your job's to make food that fits in this tiny little thing like this, and you can ship it up
right.
there.
Yeah, right.
But does it taste good? Is there a chef person who's actually okay? My job's to make it taste good. Their job's to make it small.
Yes, yes, there is, and I can introduce you to her when you come visit in Houston. You can talk to her. She'll have a job for you.
That sounds awesome. Lisa, you're the best. Wow. It's been so fun reconnecting with you. Don't be a stranger. If we have questions about space in the future, can I text you?
Of course you can. This was so much fun, and you are just as kind and funny as you were many, many years ago. So
and charming. Tell Jeffy how charming I used to be.
Charming, just lovely. So
he had to be with those legs. He had those thick thighs. He couldn't. He was
walking around. Jesus, here we go.
So bad.
Lisa, you were the best. We can't thank you. Thank you so much for hanging with us, and we'll talk to you very, very soon.
I loved it. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lisa Pace. There she goes.
Well, there we go, friends. There we go. It's a fun interview, I think, for sure. Very professional. It was a very professional interview, wasn't it, Jeffy?
Very professional. Very professional.
I thought so.
So professional that you cut out. There was a lot more of that. There was a lot more of that picture in the interview, ladies and gentlemen.
I didn't realize I cut that out.
Yeah, sure. He's the only one who edited it, but he didn't realize what happened. That was wild. How that's just I'm gonna use that one. I didn't know.
Well, here's the thing. I didn't realize it. First of all, a couple of things I want to comment people on Instagram. Yes, Anthony, you could be an astronaut. That's for sure. Just look that up. You can find that out for yourself. You could definitely do that 100%. I believe that you could do that. But what I find most interesting about all of that food that's up there, right? And I got a video to show you guys too about some people, astronauts, actually eating in space. I think we can make that food better. I really think we could. If they give us, we're chefs, especially as private chefs. We work on such parameters. We could make that food better. I'm telling you, we could. Ergo Chef wants to know, why did we do it once and now again 50 years later? That's a great question, and I'm going to get that answer for you. I'm going to find that out. I hinted towards it in part of the interview where I said, I feel like the internet slowed down our space race, which, obviously Lisa's not going to comment on that, but that's what I feel like happened. People got so we were all about space, then the internet happened, and then space stopped, and we were all about the internet. That's what I think. I don't know. And yes, Jeff, your sister wants to know if she can be an astronaut. I think so. No, so she says now Ian's applying to be an astronaut on Instagram.
Ian should definitely be an astronaut. I absolutely think that's the best.
1000%. Dan, your first time hearing that, there's a lot of information there, wasn't there?
Yeah, I was actually looking up the moon landing. We've been on 6 crews have landed on the moon between 69 and 72, just so you know.
From different countries, right?
Well, yeah, 6 crews from different countries. The last one they actually said was a moon landing, the Change 3 in 2013.
Okay. So not too long ago.
Not too long ago. So there has been people on the moon. I love the whole interview. I thought it was great. There's a lot of information, a lot of fun stuff. I had a lot of questions I'd love to ask, but it was cool to hear all the different things happening, and there was a lot of different information. You are incredibly kind of scary insightful on what you know about NASA, like the information that you actually know. And I've talked to you, and you know way more than you even put in an interview. Like the things you know about NASA, I don't know if NASA should be excited or scared. I'm not really sure which, but you're prepared. Whatever it is, your love of NASA is incredible.
I think space is incredible, right? I think space is absolutely 100% incredible, and there's so much stuff out there, and we worry so much about here, but there's so much out there that it's just so. I mean, Dan, you and I sat on the beach together and looked at the stars. I know it sounds like we're on a date, and maybe we were, maybe we weren't. I don't know, but we were there. All I know is I watched you an incredible backflip when the ocean got close to you. That's for another story for another day. But it was dark. We looked at the stars. We had a great time. Remember?
I loved it. Stars. Yo,
I was breaking down. I was like, "There go Mars. There go this," and you're like, "What?"
When you realize how tiny you are, and it humbles you. You see, and you realize, like, some people are afraid of that, but it's like, no, like we are here. You live our life, but in the grand scheme of things, we're insignificant when you talk about how far space goes beyond
our mind can't comprehend. We cannot comprehend that.
It's incredible, and it's beautiful. It's amazing. It's like makes you really like put your feet in the ground and be in the moment of time in which we share.
I want to point out all the ideas that are coming through on Instagram right now before we get out of here. I've got Ergo Chef Knives. They want to make a knife out of an asteroid. Probably can help make that happen. Because we got to tie to NASA now. And there's a whole part of that interview, too, where Lisa was talking about holding space rocks and stuff. I had to cut it because it was long. It was getting really long. We had to cut it. We'll talk about that in a second, Jeff. Yeah, I'm not going to let that go. I'm going to come back to that. Don't worry. Good brother Cinnamon, who I thought was in the ocean somewhere. Glad to see he's still alive. That's awesome news.
Cinnabons.
Cinnamon from the U.S. Navy, a submariner, if you will, he thinks submariners could make astronaut food better. I agree with that. And Cinnamon, if you hear the first part of the interview, we actually comment on how it's probably very, very similar to being on a submarine, except for there's no gravity.
Well, no, it's actually different because there's no fire. And there's no
probably the closest thing we have to like relate to it.
I think the closest thing you can have to relate to it would be like the boy in the bubble or some shit. You know what I mean? Like everything has to be so sterile and like packaged in a way that it's like all, you know what I mean? Like everything's getting like regurgitated or rehydrated or whatever, you know what I mean? Like it's like
a kosher submarine.
Deep Razi on Instagram, oh my fault, wants to know if they're gonna send us some astronaut food to try out in the show. Yes, we are gonna do that. I mentioned that to her and she was like, we can make that happen, so I gotta send her a message reminder. Cinnamon chimes in and says, who says there's gravity on a submarine? Listen, you're right. I don't know. I've never been 700 feet deep in the ocean on a sub. I don't know for a fact there is gravity. That I'm not sure about. That I'm not sure about. So one of the things that got cut from the show, and I didn't, Jeff, I swear to God, I didn't realize it got cut. We talked about Lisa and I's history a little bit, and we showcased. I'll do it for you here. She doesn't get mad at me for doing it, but
yeah. Look, wait, hold on, everybody.
Well, let me tell the story. Can I tell the story first?
Tell the story. Why don't you tell the story?
Reached out to Lisa. Lisa had said some very, very nice things about me on the internet, which made me very happy. Lisa and I actually dated from the summer of sophomore to junior year. We dated, her and I. If that even really counts, I don't know. But we dated.
Of course, that counts.
It was fantastic. I thought it counted, but you know,
yeah,
it made me realize how much of a schmuck I was. Is what it did. So that's a good thing. Shout out to her. But when we found out it was happening, this whole thing, we had reconnected to get her on the show. She told her sister, and her sister had a picture from when Lisa and I had gone to her lake house with her family, and she sent me this picture through her NASA account. And I was like, now the government has that picture. Thank you for that. That's amazing, because now I can see how gargantuan my legs are, and I look like a homeless person.
Look at that smile and the legs. I don't know which is bigger. It's beautiful. Thanks, it's like you guys are both super happy. Like
I look like maybe she found a homeless person on the road and brought him inside to give him some money. I can't figure it out there.
I don't know. You
Where were you in that? Because like that
don't worry
about
that.
Yeah, that's the question I have. Because
That's in the basement of a lake house, I believe. Oh, you
That's
think it's in the
concrete
you think it's
walls.
like it's a prison? Jesus.
Yeah, them concrete walls.
It does look like
prison.
There's literally a couch and a lamp and concrete
Right?
walls.
Yo, my
What?
man was in the halfway
What are you
house.
talking about?
He just came home and shit. He was like at the halfway house. She had to come see him.
Yeah, exactly.
Was that after your first arson? You when you were
This is
saying,
also
when they
upsetting.
let you out?
This is also upsetting. Can anybody give me something here? Get the look. Vanessa's chiming in. Prom? No, it wasn't prom. We didn't go to prom together, but it was. We weren't juniors yet in high school, but it wasn't prom. Yes, my prom, Vanessa, was in a brick wall. I do have prom. Vanessa sent me a prom picture. I do have one of those. I can show that at some point if you care to see it. But yeah, great conversation. Loved hanging out with her. It was so fun. D. Perazzi on Instagram is chiming in and say, looks like a chicken wing or something. I mean, it kind of does.
Like
It's
a turkey, like a turkey wing.
It's not good.
Like a turkey wing.
It's not good.
Jesus. Oh, it is.
Look at that. You got the boxers under the boxers. Is that what's going on? You're wearing like the flannel boxer shorts with like the
Yeah,
flannel
those are
short
90s.
shorts on.
They're like baggy, like skids shorts. What are you talking about? It's the 90s.
Oh, you were in the skids back then.
Yo,
Hell yeah.
what?
Of course. Come on.
You had a ponytail? Is there a ponytail?
Yeah, the
behind that?
ponytail. My hat's covered up, covering my ponytail. You know, I don't even know whose shirt that was. Can we stop looking at the picture now? All right, enough.
Great. I love it.
Enough. This is just
Gonna be
out of
my
control right
screensaver for you for now on.
Listen,
I love
I
that.
don't even want to.
Somebody
We need to
calls, I
stop
wanna
putting
see
it
that
up. It's
picture.
not a chicken wing. That's all I'm saying. Listen, big shout out to Lisa Page
What
from
this
NASA
is?
for joining us. You know what I wanted to do though? I did want to show a quick video. I did find a video. It's a 1 minute one of an astronaut actually making dinner in space. I thought it'd be kind of fun to watch, just so we got the idea, right? I mean, that's the theme tonight. you know?
Yeah. Let's see it.
All right, let's check this out. Check this out. I mean, it's Canadian astronauts. Does that even count?
Canadian.
I was just gonna say, how real is that?
I don't know.
What?
I don't know.
Do
What
they
are you
have a
doing right
space
now?
program in Canada?
Yo,
What are you
I don't know
talking
if it even
about?
counts. I don't know if it
Yeah.
even counts. They got
Call it
toonies.
girls, freaky.
D. Perazzi on Instagram says, dip that in barbecue. Now it's getting weird. Here you go. Watch this dude make some food.
Let's talk about space food. Vegetables are important for your health, and so today I've chosen dried spinach.
I don't know how I feel about this. First of all, that place is a mess. Look at all them cords everywhere. That drives me crazy. We're at NASA. Can we put the cords behind something?
That's why you can't have any
Prepare the
salt.
spinach,
You
you
get a little
just-
salt in that shit.
Attach it to the water distributor, choose the right quantity,
Yo.
and push the button.
Yeah.
I don't think someone's peeing all the time on a space station.
And that's a little pea water in there.
Yeah, it might be. It's like a sous vide spinach.
It's a spinach in a bag. He adds water
And it's
to it,
like
smushes
magic.
it up.
Dried spinach and spinach ready to eat.
See?
Amazing.
Whoa.
Amazing.
Really puffs
Wow.
up.
Wow.
All right, first
Is
of
that
all,
clean
shout out to
spinach?
NASA for having spinach.
NASA.
I want to.
Thanks.
I would like
Canada.
to. This is what I'm talking about. They need to have an actual chef there, someone who, and maybe they do, maybe they don't. But if they do, the guy's terrible. Like, who wants to eat just spinach? That's
Was
awful.
there garlic in there? Was there garlic? I mean,
Some butter?
they had to put some butter,
Something.
some seasoning. There
I
had to
bet
be
you have to
something.
eat real clean in space because you can't be farting a
hock.
lot.
Ham hocks.
You think methane's a problem? We should.
I
ask
bet you
that.
can't be farting in space, man. We didn't ask that. We should have
That's why I
asked. But I
couldn't be
bet
an
you,
astronaut.
like, yeah, exactly. I just be ripping
I'd be
ass all the
fucking
time.
that shit up.
People would be like really upset. The air
That's the
quality
first
would be
F-bomb
fucked
of the
up.
show was Dan. There it was.
Oh man,
I'm
At
sorry.
one-
I could just
1
see
hour
me
and 4
like,
minutes in.
I can just see me like,
Well,
we
actually,
get up
I
there and
do.
oh, Dan again. Dan, stop it.
Well, they got that vacuum thing, so maybe it doesn't even bother if you just get on the
You
vacuum.
just back up to it, like you just back up to the vacuum and just let
Yeah.
loose into the vacuum, and then
Well, of course
respectfully.
we go right to the potty humor, but she talked about it's almost like a coffee can that they have to like drop a deuce in. And I just picture opening the door, like you're going to the next level, and there's some dude just floating around up in the air with a can on his butt. He's like, "Wrong room, sorry." Oh, seat's taken or some shit. I don't know.
It's probably so hard to poop in weightlessness because you can't bear down. You know what I mean? Like
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
you
when I asked
can't
about,
like
is
put
there
your
like a
feet
harness?
down and like, there's no
You
gravity to
strap
help
in.
everything come
down?
out. Yeah,
you
get-
What are you doing there, Jeff?
You gotta push it out. No, I'm with him on that. I said
Yeah,
the straps. There has to be straps. There has to be like a room you go into with straps. You strap in, you sit down, and you just go in. Like, because they can be
Vanessa,
violent.
I don't know if space can really smell like anything. If there's no air in space, it doesn't smell like anything. You have to have air for shit to smell.
It's probably that
The
filtered
space station
fucking
can
air.
smell like something. The space station can smell like something. Space itself doesn't smell like anything. There's no air.
It's like the submarines. How the submarines got that weird stank to it.
Look, all I know is that
No, it's that
learned
recycled
a lot.
air. They use something in that recycled air to keep it from fucking killing you or something. That
Probably
smells
charcoal.
like.
Not everybody's
Third
talking
second
about
F-bomb right there. 105.48.
Oh, so
there we go. Chicken wings. Let's go.
yeah,
There we go.
hell yeah.
Uh,
What
a
this
big shout-
is?
A big
That's
shout
a
out.
damn Lamborghini Panaway.
I don't even know what's going on Instagram. Big shout out to our friend Lisa Pace. She was amazing. Loved having her on the show. Loved reconnecting with her. It's always fun to see where someone is you went to high school with, and to be able to reconnect and have that. I'm just so privileged to have the chance to do that, especially when one of my friends is such a big, I don't know, a G at NASA, and that's incredible. So shout out to her, and much success to her and her family. It's amazing. It's awesome. So glad she's happy. Cannot wait to go to Houston and get my backstage tour. Very excited about that. Plus, my application's on the way. It's on the way. I'm going to be an astronaut. Jeff, you with me?
No, zero fucking interest.
All right.
Zero interest.
106.45, third F-bomb. We almost
We
were
opened with
there.
F-bomb.
It's like after an hour, it just falls apart. I don't understand.
We opened with F bombs and we closed.
We
with
did. There was no F-bomb in the front.
Absolutely, there were.
No, there was some other bad
in
words.
the intro. There's an intro in our intro.
think it
There's
was.
like it's something about icing your things. And then
It's not F-bombs.
No, there's an F bomb slid in there. There's an F bomb.
All right.
Dan, are you going to space?
What's happening? Yes, I'm going to I'm going to space. I'm going to space.
I can't. I don't know.
Yo, I'm excited about going to space. What can I tell you? Unlike Jeff, I'm not afraid of a challenge. I'm ready for it. Let's go. I've been working on my pull-up game.
Yeah.
I'm already jacked, ready to rip, roar. I'm headed up there. Yo, and if NASA doesn't take me, at least maybe SpaceX will hook me up. They'll give me they'll get me in. I feel like SpaceX might be the joint. I mean, she's saying we need to open up a restaurant on the space station. We need to talk to Elon.
Yo,
really get
what
this
if we
thing
just handle
popping.
all the food on the rockets that go to the moon?
Let's do it.
Like
Yeah,
we're
I like
like
that.
we're like the stewards on the moon on the rocket ship.
I'd like to be the guy that works in the hangar.
And please buckle your safety belts and put your seat and tray backs in the full upright position. It's time for service. No? All right. Well,
I want to be the guy on the ground that's like, Houston, yep, come in. That's right.
Jeff, you shouldn't talk to anybody important.
Yeah, 2 knots to the left.
Captain Jeffy, are we safe to land? Did you hear that downtime before you answered? That's what I'm talking about. That's why you can't do this.
Because you have to double check everything, Plum. I'm very
waiting.
professional.
There's no waiting.
Yeah,
We
ask a
gotta
question,
go.
I have to look twice.
We got to go. Jeffy, we got a guest book for next week. Somebody who I think might be really interesting. Do you remember who it is? Are you ready to prepare and talk about it?
Jesus, no. You hitting me off the top.
I gave you time to look it up on your phone. It's on the calendar.
It is on the calendar. I'm looking it up right now.
It's the author of the Chippendale cookbook, ain't it?
Is it Stacey Ray? Nope, that's all right. That's the week after next. Never mind. Excuse me. Stacey
that's
Ray,
what we're
whoever that
saying,
is, coming on the program.
Yeah, my daughter wants the cookbook.
Really?
She got the Chippendale calendars. She's insane.
All right.
She saw that movie with
She's coming on the
Channing
18th.
Tatum.
She's coming on the 18th.
So she's
All right.
the 18th.
Well,
I'm
maybe
excited
we'll
for
make
that
that
one.
happen then. That'll be good. We'll get her the cookbook. It'll be
Somebody
great.
book next week. I gotta look on.
Shout out to our friend Lisa Pace from NASA. Shout out to NASA for allowing her to come on here and talk and answer our stupid questions. I do think the sex questions, I think it's important. I think people want to know those answers. I think it's important. They should get that out there. NASA should put that out there.
I believe so too. That is something that
It's
people
important.
want to talk about. Like,
Yeah.
what happens up there? I mean, one way or the other. I mean, you're
Well-
talking about 5 to 7 years going to Mars. Somebody might be coming back with a little something in the like, what, could babies be born in space?
What's about
You-
pregnancy in space?
Yo, Because
baby, first baby born in space.
Can you imagine that'd be a Martian baby?
Then they'd have legal rights, and it'd be the only one to have legal rights to Mars. That's it. The baby just be like on Mars, like, yo,
the baby gets older. That baby gets older. It's like, all y'all need to leave my planet. What? What are you talking about? Nope. Y'all got to go. You all got to go. I didn't say it was okay. Wow, that's crazy. That's a whole other. We're gonna have a round 2 with her, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's super interesting. Super interesting stuff there. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. There's a lot more things we could talk about. There's a lot of things we can bring up. I would love to go to Houston though. That's like a dream to be able to go to Houston and go to NASA and like walk around and see the kitchens and see that all. I mean, that would be pretty amazing.
I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that too. By the way, Anthony on Instagram's chiming in and say, nah, the parents have squatters' rights already on Mars.
Yep. That's right.
Depends on what rules. If it's Florida, no, they don't. You can pull a gun and shove them out of your house in Florida. They just passed that whole rule, changed everything. Listen, big shout out to Lisa Pace. We appreciate her joining us on the program. Thank you guys for everything. Thanks for all the questions on Instagram. We appreciate that. For Chef Jeffy, for Chef Dan, my name is Chef Plum. We appreciate you guys watching the program. We'll see you guys right back here on Plumluvfoods Live next week. Take care, friends.
From the tower of power, too sweet to be sour, I'm funky like a monkey. Sky's the limit and space is the place.
Thank you for listening to Plumluvfoods Live. See you next week, good brothers and sisters.